Hello, welcome to another week of the Power 10 Sports Talk. We are a little short-staffed this week, but joining me this week is our current points leader in correct picks, Brady Gibb. Um, the man that always manages to derail us somehow every week, John Sacco. And joining us via phone call, our stats man, Brandon Ravine. Remember to give us a follow on YouTube, on Twitter. Um, Everything you do helps us. It supports us by sharing this video. It helps us get it out to a larger audience. It helps us grow as a brand, make us better. And we were supposed to have a special guest, Corey Continue, this week, but sadly he had to cancel last minute. We're also without our token girl, Erin Pulse, as she comes back to our hometown of Dover, Ohio. And without Braxton Ubel right now. He said he would be joining us later as he's picking up a dead deer. But we'll start off with the news, get to our reactions, our ways to improve the college football playoffs, and then our picks for this week and in the bowl games this following week. But first off, in the news, we had Oregon upset USC for the Pac-12 championship. Any reactions to that? Yeah.
I did not buy USC at all year, but somehow I knew if they won the Pac-12 going 6-0, they would jump into that top 5. And just that's how little faith I have in the committee right now. But real props for Oregon. They weren't even supposed to play in that game. They walk away the winner.
Yeah, this is a game that you weren't supposed to be in, and all of a sudden now you're the winners.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to feel good, and it might get them back into the rankings.
Strange to think that a 4-2 conference champion, but
yeah, that is odd. But I mean, hey, we've had the past 6 years having somebody make it to the NFL playoffs with a losing record.
Mm-hmm.
Not the Browns this year. Browns are making it.
Yeah, the Browns locked in for a winning record, so that's always nice.
Wonderful.
That's one of my favorite things, though, is when you have someone that's not supposed to be there surprise you. That is one of my favorite things that can happen, especially in sports. Whether
everyone loves the underdog.
Exactly.
Right, and
someone to cheer for, someone to love.
Yeah. Notification about the OSU game there without Chris Olave as their big starter. We had tweeted about that earlier this week, saying that there was a key starter out, but we didn't know who yet. We now know it is Chris Olave as the major wide receiver that's going to be out for the Big Ten championship.
Guy in there and get some passes to him.
And that seems to be the only major player out.
Mm-hmm.
We are missing a couple other starters, but I think they'll still be able to make do.
Mm-hmm.
We did get
and in true Ohio State, real quick there. In true Ohio State fashion, though, if you're talking about being one of the best teams in the nation, next man up, next man up,
yep,
and really be a key participant in this game.
I mean, Ohio State could have anyone out, and I'd still favor them over 90% of teams. I mean, they finish top 5 in recruiting class every year, and most years they go one or two.
Yeah, and
so
also
they have 5 stars.
Yeah, sitting on the bench, ready to go. Yeah. Also, he's not even their leading receiver this year. Chris Olave really was my guy that I thought would break out this year, but I don't know if it's just that because he's now the new number 1, he's pulling harder coverages.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it seems like OSU should still be able to
it's someone who struggled to fit into his new role this season.
New freshman that we have. He has 3 names.
I don't know.
Jiba or something in his last name. I don't even know his last name.
All right. No clue. I can tell you. Also, we got to see the MAC championship last night with Ball State winning it. They're
taking down Buffalo. Yep.
Taking out Buffalo, who was supposed to be the big winner after they had running back go for 8 touchdowns. In one game.
Tied the NCAA record.
Yeah. And they take him out of the game with time left and the ball. So he should be having the record. And we also
he really should. That was...
Yeah.
Come on, if you're that close, just let him have it.
Give him the record. Who cares?
And he didn't have a great game yet. He had the 1 touchdown, 18 rushes, 47 yards.
Yeah, Ball State really seemed to just shut down him.
Stepped up.
Yeah, and finally, Conference USA champion UAB over Marshall. I really was talking
Surprising.
About it. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I've been thinking, man, Marshall has 1 loss and they got taken out of the ranks. Meanwhile, we're seeing some 3-loss teams still in.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, maybe they were right keeping them out. It may have been the right call.
Amazing for UAB. What a program, though.
That is one that has always been slept on.
Mm-hmm. Having your football team fold just 2 or 3 years ago, come back, and now you've already won a conference championship. They made a bowl game last year. They're back with a vengeance.
Oh yeah, you got to know they're fired up.
Mm-hmm.
And we got more news. Notre Dame won't be playing unless they have family attending.
Yeah, which
do you
odd.
do you call that a bluff? I 100%. Yeah, I don't see Notre Dame sitting out.
Yeah, I think they're going to use the excuse. Let's say they can't have families there. They're going to say, well, we wanted to respect the families, and it could have been that, hey, we're trying to avoid a blowout because we might have to play Alabama or we might have to play Clemson again. They're going to kick the snot out of us. Who knows?
I don't think they're scared of Clemson because they're going to play them today.
I don't think exists. If Clemson does beat them today, which I'm guessing we're all projecting to happen, it's kind of got to put a little doubt in you. Like, man, we barely beat him without Trevor Lawrence, and now we have to try and beat him with him, and he is supposed to go number one. But yeah, that is something that's probably on their mind right now.
I think it's just a bluff. I think it's puffery.
Like, that's one of my favorite things to bring up here, and every point is money. Money talks. The ACC will not allow Notre Dame to pull out because they want that payday. And Notre Dame wants that payday too. That is a huge amount of money you're getting for your conference and for your school to play in that playoffs. You're not sitting out of this, whether it's for family or not. You know, hate to say it, but you can watch on TV anymore with, COVID going on. This comes down to money. And
Notre Dame owes the ACC their season. I mean, no other. They had to join a conference to even be here right now. Most other conferences went in conference games only, so that left Notre Dame without a schedule.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to even have a season, they should be grateful to the ACC right now.
Yeah, that's 100% true. The other news, Auburn head coach Gus Malzahn was fired Saturday after winning 24-10 against Mississippi State. I still think he came out the winner because Auburn did pay him out the rest of his contract, which was $21.7 million.
Insane.
So you get to leave Auburn and go coach somewhere else. You now have
$21
million in your pocket.
I wouldn't mind it.
And yeah, you're getting let go at the end of a season where you could still go find a new program that does need a new head coach, and you're the first name that's going to be on people's lists. So I'm guessing he's still kind of like, damn, it kind of sucks I got let go of Auburn. They are a good program, but I can go find a new head coaching job and probably get paid even more now.
I think that is a surprising move because Auburn's always been around the top 25, and they've always been in contention for these major bowl games. But apparently not good enough. Auburn wants to be the premier.
Yeah, you're right. But ever since that Iron Bowl, in which they came back and beat Alabama, it's kind of been a downhill slide slowly for Auburn. I mean, really, they've been out of the talks for the last 2 or so years, and you're looking to try to be a top 5 program week in and week out.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's not like they are horrible.
Malzahn is the winner.
Well, Auburn was very much in play for the playoff in 2017 when they lost to UCF in the Peach Bowl. Because that was the major argument. They didn't want to play that game because they should have been rightfully in the playoffs.
Yeah, this is an awkward situation where, like, Auburn isn't a bad
game.
Brandon, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say that UCF game, then you know what? If you were mad that you should have been in that game, freaking blow them out of the water. Win
exactly.
By 40.
I've never
make it a point.
I've hated that argument.
But
you can't tell me that these competitors just don't really care about a bowl game. They don't care about going out and winning. They've wanted to win since they were in Pee Wee football. You can't tell me that.
Yeah, it's not a lack of a winning drive or anything like that. And I don't think Auburn is a bad organization at all. They still are getting wins. It's just you're not the top dog in the SEC. And that's gonna, as long as Nick Saban's in Alabama, it's going to be Alabama. It's one thing that's inevitable that we're going to see is everyone's going to try and reach it, but something can happen. Like, for Florida, it's a lack of discipline right now.
So who do you?
You had it locked in to be almost in the playoffs, and somebody has to throw a shoe and lose their temper and cost you a game. And it's got to be something that I don't think Saban would ever tolerate or ever allow. And I don't know if it's just because of the respect he gets as a head coach, or if it's just the recruits that they're making sure they're getting guys that are super disciplined and nothing's going to get in their heads.
It's all about culture, and it always starts at the top. If
Yeah.
you don't have a leader that promotes that culture, it's not going to trickle its way all the way down to the bottom. You see it year in and year out with different organizations, and it starts at the top.
I will say, on the other hand, you did have the 08 Gators that were led by Tim Tebow that had how many people get arrested? So one
Riley
of your leaders
Cooper,
was one that was supposed to be, this guy, very much religious and keeping things under control, was a very good NFL quarterback, but the Pounceys get arrested. Aaron Hernandez kills a guy. Riley Cooper turns out to be like really racist. But yeah, like it could be, it could have been Urban Meyer's fault.
But notice how many of those things, most of those things happened though after their years were done at Florida.
Yeah, for the most part they were.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're always gonna have a few bad apples. You're always gonna have a few guys getting a little bit of trouble. It's inevitable. But most of that stuff happened after their time in Florida and after their time being done in that culture.
Now, see, you say a little bit of trouble. I'm pretty sure killing a guy isn't like a little bit of trouble.
Multiple people, allegedly.
Yeah.
Look at OJ. He's a legend.
He didn't do it. What are you talking about?
So who do we think? Do we have a prediction on who's going to replace him?
Who's going to replace?
At Auburn. Gus Malzahn at Auburn.
Right now, no. I think a lot of teams still have their head coaches and ADs.
You'll have to see a few more firings before.
I think, we'll have to see a few more coaches get let go, and I think we'll see that come January before we see who the new Auburn head coach could be. Which
is the next big name to fall? Do you think Tom Herman at Texas?
Herman is up there.
His AD came out and said Herman is our guy, but loyalty only goes so far in college football. Lip service.
Yeah, Harbaugh's definitely in the hot seat right now.
Harbaugh?
Yeah, after canceling 2 games in a row because of COVID issues, saying you had a great training Saturday or Sunday after you canceled the OSU game, almost is like a spit in the face to OSU fans and the organ. And hey, we had to cancel our game. Sorry. Oh yeah, we had a great practice Sunday.
For
and
him
it's like
saying going out and saying he's committed to Michigan. Is Michigan committed to you though?
I don't think so at all. You have yet to beat Ohio State. You've yet to even make it to a Big Ten championship. They hired you to get those 2 things done. I think national championship was the next step, but your first step was just beat OSU and make it to a Big Ten championship. And you have yet to
Frost at
that.
Nebraska. They hired him after a national championship at UCF, but have you seen any improvement in that program under his
Nebraska
2 years?
Has had any sort of improvement. That being said, it could be you aren't getting great recruits because you are in Nebraska.
I mean, Nebraska was the name in college football.
Yeah, for a
through
while
the 90s, 2000s.
But I think it is you're starting to get a generation of kids that never knew Nebraska as this great team and are kind of like, wait, I'd have to live in Nebraska? And that's kind of like your tipping point of like, nah, I don't want to go there.
Maybe Les Miles at Kansas there? They may be paying him too much money to let him go.
Yeah, I think maybe Les Miles is on the hot seat as well, being a man that's yet to get a win. Yeah, all their money's all their money in their program's going to basketball.
Have you seen Art Briles resign from his high school position and is now looking for a head coaching spot in the NCAA?
I did not see that. No.
Yep. He stepped away from high school, and apparently Liberty is interested because the AD from Baylor or Hugh Freeze went to Liberty. But
all right.
And then
can I bring up one point here?
Mississippi.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish talking.
Oh yeah.
Brandon.
Sorry, I was just saying, I didn't mean to cut you off, Sock. But
That's okay.
one person that I think would be great to go fill a big-time head coaching position, and this is only if he had another year or so under his belt, would be Herm Edwards out of Arizona State. I feel like he could really, really bring one of those, prime time or lower prime time, programs, as in Auburn or Mississippi State or South Carolina, like really up into the limelight again. But I think he still needs another year or so to show that he can build a program such as Arizona State.
Yeah, a little bit of improvement would definitely help. Or not improvement, just kind of more.
I do like
experience.
what I've seen from Arizona State, though.
Yeah.
They were ranked last year, and they had a couple wins this year.
Yeah.
I mean, even on a short season, they've looked more impressive than they have in years past.
All right. Let's get into the reactions. I'll start us off because I know, Sock, you're gonna get real fired up and really early. I'm concerned that Florida only moves one spot down after losing to LSU. I get it was a 3-point loss, but it's still a 3-5 LSU. How do you only get one spot down from that? It is something that is concerning from the committee being like, well, they almost beat them. It's like, well, they were supposed to blow them out of the fucking water. So that's definitely a concern. I do think Iowa State is definitely overranked. I think they still deserve a rank, but definitely not as high as they have right now, being the number. Are they 6 now?
Yeah, they are 6.
At number 6, yeah, that seems really high, and I don't think that they've definitely earned the spot. Texas, NC State, and Oklahoma State are all 3 losses, and I don't think should have their rank. As much as I love Oklahoma State, I don't think they deserve a spot right now with 3 losses. The only 3-loss team I think deserves a spot is UNC with that impressive win over Miami. But I don't think it gets you a top 20 spot. I think maybe somewhere between 25 and 21 because you still are a 3-loss team. Cincy should be the 5 and A&M should be the 6. I think that goes without saying. Cincy is just the best all-around team, I think, that is just getting snubbed right now. And lastly, Florida, Iowa State, Georgia, and Oklahoma are all great teams. I think they're very much capable of doing great things this year. But with 2 losses, the committee should not be giving them top 10 spots. And it's just something I think there's teams without any losses, teams like Coastal and Cincy that are getting overlooked. There are 1-loss teams that are getting overlooked. And there are these teams that are just getting way too much credit for what they've done. So, Brady, any comments?
Oh, I just wanted to say, I think Jebba Hubbard's really going to affect
He didn't even
this
play
week.
this week, Brady. That doesn't.
Well, I think he'll be good in free agency, maybe.
He'll probably go in the draft. He said he's declaring for the draft already. Brandon, I'll let you go so Sock can go on his wild rant.
Little my tangent.
Brandon.
I just want to hear Sock go rant.
All right, Sock, you're up.
I missed it.
First of all, this committee is a sham. It's a sham. Just 3 weeks ago, we were complimenting, saying how many group of 5 teams, how progressive this committee is being in letting these teams like Cincinnati and Coastal compete. And obviously that was a lie. They remember when we were talking about Ohio State where we were saying, I don't think they can get in. Why are they keeping them there if there's no real path?
Yeah.
It's probably just to keep the boosters and the talking heads happy. That's exactly what's happening with these group of 5 teams. When we see what's happening, when it's coming down to crunch time, they're dropping in the ranks. That granted, they are not playing, and that was the reason given. But Ohio State's played 1 game in the last month as well. Are you telling me that a game against Michigan State, piss poor Michigan State, is worthy of keeping them there? Is a proper ranking?
Yeah, absolutely. And having other teams miss games and not be
Other
affected
teams
at all in the ranks.
yeah.
Clemson's missed 2 or 3 games now. Their ranks aren't affected. I think Bama missed 1, right?
Cincinnati or who? Clemson?
No, Bama. I think Bama may have missed a game.
Clemson missed 1 game. I think Bama missed a game. No, Bama hasn't missed a game.
Bama hasn't missed any. I don't believe Notre Dame has had to miss any.
No, Clemson
They
had
did
to cancel
postpone Wake
Florida State.
Forest.
Yeah.
So yeah, they both missed one game, and they're never were
Mhm.
affected in the rankings.
Mhm. And then there's
Number
the
5
top
A&M has missed.
multiple games.
Right now it's technically it's 2, but they are going to play their makeup game today. So,
Mhm.
but still, they were unaffected by it. Why is Cincy the one exception that if you miss a game, you drop a rank?
Mhm. Well, when there's an obvious discrepancy between the AP poll and the college football, something is wrong. These are significant. Cincinnati's number 6 in the AP poll and the coaches poll, but they're 9 here. Tulsa, who they'll play today, is all the way up. They're back at 23 in the. So, I mean, that's part of the problem when you say, well, Cincinnati should have more top 25 wins. They're keeping these other teams out too. Tulsa is a top 20 team in the AP poll. They're 23 here, and they'll very likely fall out with the loss today, even though it's to number 9 Cincinnati. So when you keep these other teams out, it hurts the teams at the top too.
Yeah, Brandon.
I say one of my favorite words here is consistency, because there's a complete and utter lack of consistency. There, you're comparing apples to oranges this whole time, and you're not treating these teams fairly. I completely agree with you, Sock. Like how is it that one team can miss one game and it drops them? But I'm a big Ohio State fan, but how do you miss half your schedule and not move?
Yeah,
exactly.
it is definitely a pressing concern.
I get where that argument comes from. There's zero consistency by this playoff committee.
So yeah, it's rules only apply to some teams, but not others.
Louisiana is 9-1. They have a 17-point road victory over who is number 6 right now, but they're at 19.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 6 has 2 losses.
Yeah, it's ULL beats number 6, has one loss, and is like not even in any conversation.
Here's undefeated Coastal at 12, 11-0. The teams ahead of them are 1 loss Indiana, 2 loss Oklahoma, undefeated Cincinnati, 2 loss Georgia, 2 loss Florida, 2 loss Iowa State, 1 loss Texas A&M.
Yeah, it's absurd that some teams
they've
worked their
more
asses
wins
off
than Indiana, 4 more wins than Oklahoma, 6 more wins than Ohio State.
Yeah, and they get no regard, no discussion. Even teams
like they got a small bump from the BYU win, but for ambition, for saying they're not on our schedule, but we want to go out and prove ourselves, we will play them. We don't have to. We want to.
If anything, that should be a bigger bump because we have a condensed schedule and we'll still kick your ass.
Mm-hmm.
This just goes to show you could be
3 days
the
to put
small
together.
School in the world. True. You could be the greatest small school in the world, but you're never going to get the respect of the committee to be moved up in the rankings.
Exactly.
It's just what it is.
Yeah.
You'll be bombarded with excuse after excuse.
Yep. You have no prayer.
And that's the thing. When you say just schedule better teams, we see it now. UNC just booked a series 13 or 11 years in advance.
Yeah, OSU.
Do you know how hard it is to schedule something? I mean, Cincinnati and OSU had their series, but they only wanted one series, and they had to put it together 5 years in advance.
Yeah. I think OSU Alabama is supposed to happen like 5 years from now.
2022. I thought it was 2022. Might be like 2024.
I think it was 24, 25. Because this year was supposed to be Oregon, home and away. Or this year, next year, home and away. Somebody between it and then Alabama. But yeah, this stuff gets planned out years in advance. So you can't ask an organization that's growing now, hey, we want to play this big dog and hope that they stay a big dog, because we have seen teams go from amazing to nobodies. Even
I will give you
LSU
a solid
went from
example.
Undefeated great team to 4-5.
UCF in 2013 is coming off an 11-1 season where they win their bowl game, but they don't crack the top 10. So they say, okay, we need to schedule someone. They schedule Stanford, who was top 10 that year.
Yeah, under
They
Andrew Luck,
they played last year. You know what everyone said?
Stanford's
Well, they
nobodies.
played Stanford. I mean, that's a Power 5 team, I guess. But
Yeah.
no, when they scheduled that game, they were the team. They were Pac-12 champions. They were a 2-loss team,
Yeah.
and it looked like a great game on paper. Fast forward when you schedule out 7 years in advance. See what happens.
You don't have essentially there's so much time in between. An organization can go from one of the best to nobody's.
And
Baylor.
UCF was in the middle of going through. They wanted last year. They wanted that national championship. So when they play Stanford, it doesn't help them at all.
Yeah, even like let's say some
Even though
teams,
they
like,
did exactly what they were supposed to do, they scheduled the Power 5 teams, the best of the Power 5.
or imagine somebody scheduling out Michigan State years ago whenever they were really hot and they were a great team, and now they're nobodies. They barely can win a game, and it's kind of like, well, now it means nothing, but we can't do anything about it because you're
Do you
not.
know how much money it costs to cancel that game?
It costs us so much money to cancel the game and find a new game and hope that they're open. COVID has opened doors, luckily, that, hey, we both had to cancel our game because our opponent has COVID. We're free, you're free, let's just play.
And plus, these Power 5 teams don't want to play the Group of 5. They have nothing to gain. They have to pay out big money, these supposedly buy games.
Yeah.
But what do they gain if they win?
Gain nothing by winning.
If Coastal says, well, we're 11-0 right now, why aren't we ranked? Let's go schedule Alabama. Alabama has nothing to gain from a win over Coastal.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely helps more than a win over the Citadel, but...
Yeah, they have everything to lose. If Coastal were to win that game, Coastal might get some recognition, but Alabama would fall. Yeah. So they are paying money to fall in the rankings. So they're happy playing Citadel.
As an NCAA, do they need to institute a rule in which case you can only schedule so many future games, and then every year you have to visit, say, 4 games? And from there, you have to schedule 4 new games this year. You know,
that could
you
work.
Don't have your schedule.
I could see that work.
With these contracts for 10 years in the future, because you wanted to fill that game up. So maybe every year you have to schedule 4 new games and make that for everyone. And then that way you're always going to have 4 new games, and you're not going to have, a Citadel team or not Citadel, Chancellors that potentially they could have scheduled a decent game this year, but they get, put in this corner because they can't go schedule, a Notre Dame because they're scheduled 8 years out.
Yeah, absolutely. So that could be a solution to
this.
And even if you don't want to do 4, make them 2. They have to schedule 2 games a year out. You can't schedule them ahead. You will pick them. Let's say they're going to be the last 2 games, because your last game of the season is usually a rivalry game. Those last 2, so you at least get a metric of who's good, who's bad, so we can get quality matchups in this. But
I would like to see more games added on, like BYU and Coastal did. It proves that you could put together a game, a very good game, in less than a week.
Second.
It took 3 days for that to come together, really, and there's no reason that you can't schedule same year.
Yeah. If
I love it because
done,
that made every other AD look so bad, because every other AD that's made that excuse that, it's a day away or 3 days away or whatever, you know what? Now we have proof it can be done.
It can be done. You just have to have 2 teams that are willing.
Yeah, absolutely. If everyone's done with the discussing of the rankings, we're going to move on to our ways to improve the college football playoffs. I'll go first. If we'll kind of go in our circle: Brady, Sacco, Brandon. If you don't have any ideas, just say I don't.
Just say you think it's fine as is.
It's fine as is. We don't need to change anything. Mine, it sounds kind of simple, but essentially this is a way to make sure Power 5 bias is eliminated. 8 spots. Whichever 8 teams have the best record and won their conference get the spots. So it gets rid of the possibility of, let's say, just because Oregon wins the Pac-12, They're 4-2. Why do they get a spot over, let's say, Coastal, who's 11-0? Sadly, they had to cancel their game this year, so it's a non-issue. But or Ball State, who has a better record than Oregon and won their conference championship, they should get the spot. Now, obviously, this creates issues with, well, yeah, Bama still won, and well, A&M was the second best team in the SEC East or West, and they didn't even get to play. So why don't they get a spot? Well, they should have beat Bama this year. You don't get a spot just because you almost beat Alabama and you were the second best. This also, I think, we had discussed earlier this week.
Close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, right?
Exactly. But yeah, the top 8 conference winners. Yeah, obviously every year 2 teams are going to get snubbed because there are 10 conferences, and it's not a guarantee it's always going to be a group 5 or it's always going to be a power 5, but it at least gets rid of that possibility. If your top 9 are all 11-0, then we'll go to strength of schedule, but we're not going to go to strength of schedule as our base metric. And also, it's going to be a lottery pool. Nobody knows who they're going to play until after conference championships are done. Hey, we put Ohio State. Hey, we put Coastal Carolina. They're going to play each other week 1. It could suck for Coastal, but there's also the same possibility. Hey, here's Ohio State. Here's Alabama. And there's a chance, yeah, you get the best game week 1. But it means that everyone has the same chances of getting a great game as they do of getting their ass kicked. And it does eliminate that possibility that you do have 2 ACC teams, 2 SEC teams. I don't think we've seen 2 Big Ten teams yet.
Not yet.
2 Big 12, I think.
No, we have not.
And we haven't seen 2 Pac-12 yet.
Nope.
But it eliminates that chance that there's 2 teams that have already played each other, and we might see that this year. 2 teams that have already played each other twice, playing for a third time in the playoffs. I don't want to watch that game. I've already seen it twice. I don't want to see it a third time.
Give me the popcorn and a cold beer. I'm watching that game a third time.
Yeah. Okay, this might be the exception with both teams being so good. But also it forces independents to join a conference. Liberty, BYU, Notre Dame, Army, all have to join a conference, or you have no chance. Or you make your own conference. I don't give a shit. But make them have to have a consistent schedule at some point or another. But yeah, that was my idea for it. I don't know how well it would go. It probably would blow up after 2 years, just like this current system is blown up.
Yeah, it can't blow up any worse than this right now.
Yeah, somehow the current system is the worst. Brady, any?
I'm fine how it is.
You think it's fine the way it is? As long as Ohio State makes it in, we're good.
I do about this.
All right. Sacco?
Brandon, do you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, my thing is, I think you go 8 teams. I think Power 5, 3 at large. I think that solves your problems. I don't think that you make this random, like Gibbs said, because that's not how we've ever had a tournament work. That's never how it's worked. It's never how it will work. Your best team is your best team for a reason, and of course they're going to get that gimme game 1 because you know what? They earned it. And you don't want to see Alabama and Ohio State play week 1 because then, you know what? Your best game's now over with. There goes your audience. Remember, this is about money. Money number 1 all the time, every time. So if they want money, they're going to have their best 2 teams play in that championship any way they can get it. I'm good now.
All right.
Okay, you're good now.
Sacco, yours?
I think the conference championship requirement is a must. I don't love auto bids because then you do get an Oregon, but there has to be something for winning your conference because right now, no one cares about a conference championship. It's just a stepping stone. It's kind of like winning the East in the NBA. You saw like LeBron, he looks at the trophy, hands it over. He's like, I'm on to the finals.
Yeah. His least concern right now is
his least concern is winning the East. But
West.
Either or. Really, I think no matter which side he was
LeBron's
on, he
still in
didn't
Cleveland
care.
in my head. I still picture him holding the trophy with the Cavs. But yeah, West. So I do think it should be at least 6 teams. I do like the auto bids. 6 teams would be a best of group of 5 and 5 power 5s. So the argument is if you do auto bids, you do get sometimes an Oregon, who's obviously probably not the best team in their conference. But I do think they deserve something for winning that conference. And in no other league do we qualify their playoff spot with how well they think they do. Does anyone buy the Magic as real title contenders in the NBA?
Does anyone buy anyone in the NFC East making it to the Super Bowl?
Exactly. We are going to give a team with a losing record a playoff spot, and they deserve it because they win that conference. It might be a better Baltimore might miss out and they're a better team. Miami might miss out because of it and they're a better team. But
the AFC is not having the same issue. It is mostly an NFC issue, but
Yeah,
but
the Browns is good. That's why. They just
yeah, the AFC is super competitive.
I'm
but
saying
yeah,
it's the NFL as a whole. There are multiple good
teams get snubbed on either side, but somebody crappy from the other conference still gets to make it.
Yes, there are 5 teams in play in the AFC, and we're giving them. But this is how it works. This is divisions. This is conferences. It's sort of it's almost like the NCAA. There's divisions and there's conferences. You should be rewarded for winning that conference.
All right.
And
Fair point.
you know what? You might see a game where it's 38-0, but there's been 38-0 games right now, and we've lived with it. We've said
college
people who
playoff
say
gives you
this is a
blowouts.
good system. College football playoff gives you blowouts right now, and you know what? There are games. We saw Virginia UMBC. No one said UMBC doesn't deserve it because like they beat a Virginia. They beat a Virginia.
Yeah, they did what no other team has ever done in the history.
Exactly. We love an underdog. So, but even if they did get blown out, even if they were like every other 16-1 seed, does anyone ever say we should do away with these 16 seeds? They never win.
Yeah, it's something that is definitely a factor. Even though you're not going to get just a free spot, you still have to play and actually try.
And these arguments that you're going to get a bad conference champion. Conferences are down for no more than a year usually. Remember 2 years ago when we said there's Clemson in the ACC and there's shit?
Yeah, and now
ACC's come around. They have
UNC
North
and
Carolina,
Miami
who's
competing
really good. Miami
really
is
close.
Really good. Now Notre Dame, who's
NC State,
a temporary member, but you have NC State, who's good. I mean, all these teams were garbage tier 2 years ago, and people were saying, well, you know, if it was auto bids, Clemson would reap the benefits of a bad conference. But we see how that's turned around. Same with Pac-12. I expect the Pac-12 to be back in 2 to 3 years. There will be a top 25 USC, a top 10 Oregon, a top 10 or Washington
or Utah. Yeah, we saw number 6 Utah last year.
Big 12 was awful last year. And granted, I know I have said they are all overranked. But look how many are in the top 25 right now. They don't deserve the top 25, but they deserve something. They are good teams. So you have Texas, you have Oklahoma State, who's been ranked all season. Iowa State, Oklahoma.
Even West Virginia has been competing very much.
Yeah. Teams may be down for a while, but conferences usually turn around in a year or two.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this eliminates all the subjectivity of it. There's no way you can realistically look at 2 teams and say, because really it kind of is apples to oranges when you compare a group of 5 to a power 5 because of what I've said before, where the power 5 doesn't want to schedule them. They do have to be in these conferences.
They essentially take on the entire risk of it all.
They can't just join a conference. Do you think if the ACC was had open spots that Cincinnati wouldn't join? It's not like they want to be there. They're making the best of a bad situation. They've begged. So this answer is not as simple as join a better conference.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, look what happened with the Big East. That it folded and every team essentially had to be like, where do we go? We need to find a conference now. And they got scattered. Rutgers is in the Big 10. West Virginia is in the Big 12. And essentially it was just like, find somebody that'll say yes.
Basically, yeah.
And it hurts some teams more than others, but yeah, it was essentially like luck of the draw. Am I going to be a good now and in a very competitive
Mhm.
conference, or did I just join like the worst conference
It
I
was
could?
it was yeah. I mean, Rutgers was a good team in the Big East. Joining the Big Ten, they have not been good. They did not transition well.
Yeah.
West Virginia, they've won the Big 12. They transitioned well.
Yeah.
I mean, these teams, it's basically a crapshoot. And it was the conferences hand selecting them. So you couldn't just say, we want to join this team or this conference. No, they have to select you. They have to accept it, and the other teams have to vote on it.
Yeah, and essentially
So,
then you're having a committee vote, hey, do we want this team in?
and a location plays a big role in this. You could be screwed over. Like Cincinnati, no way they're joining the Big Ten. Ohio State does not want to give up any recruiting ground right now.
Yeah.
Ohio State will vote no on Cincinnati to the Big Ten every single time.
Yeah. And yeah, it's also one of those situations, just even travel. It sounds odd, but why would the Pac-12 take Cincinnati?
Yeah, why would or the
you're
Big
now
12?
making a
Texas doesn't want to
8-hour
fly up
flight,
to
yeah.
Cincinnati.
But then you also have teams like West Virginia that joined a conference that exists in Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas, that in a straight line, and then just somebody over here.
And as I remember, they weren't super on board with West Virginia.
Yeah,
they picked them because it was an identity thing.
Yeah.
But the location was a major holdup, a reservation they had about all this.
Yeah, and it is one that, if you're a smaller team and you want to join a big conference, you have to not only consider travel, but competitiveness, their willingness to let you even join, and could be like, well, why would we let you join? We're just going to stomp the shit out of you every year.
That's what I do think no one thinks through. When you have these fans saying, oh, put Cincinnati in the Big Ten, they'll get stomped every year. Or they'll get stomped by Alabama. One, of course they will. Teams in the Big Ten get stomped by Ohio State. No one says anything when Rutgers gets stomped 72-0. But it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
We see the fourth team get stomped by the number one team all the time. Okay, but that was not the point I was making.
Yeah.
No one ever flips that around and reverses it. Why doesn't Ohio State want to go to Cincinnati and get a free top 10 win if they're so much better and it's going to be an easy game and they'll stomp and crush them? Go play at Cincinnati and go on the road and get a top 10 win. A road top 10 win looks so good, right?
Yeah.
But no, they only want to play them at home. They only want to play them 10 years from now, and they only want to play them on their terms.
Yeah, and it is a huge issue. But if everyone's good with our discussion of the
I think that's the last thing I would say.
We'll get into the picks now. Starting off with our noon games, we got Northwestern at Ohio State. That should be starting in about 25 minutes.
All right.
Northwestern is, I think, a surprise winner of the Big Ten West. They were a team I don't think I would have ever considered, and they have just a great defense that's helping them get this far. They're shutting down Wisconsin and other great teams. Yeah, kind of had an issue against Michigan State, but that was more of a trap game because you weren't used to being there. But stopping Ohio State is a whole different ballgame. You are going up against Justin Fields, who was a Heisman contender at one point this season. Obviously, with less games, you don't have the stats as good as everyone else, but averaging 46 points a game, 532 yards a game, and 3 interceptions, that's amazing. No matter how many games you've played, it's tough to not take Ohio State in this matchup. I don't think any Vegas better, any analyst is going to take Northwestern in this unless something major happens by halftime. So I'm going to go with the Buckeyes. Brady?
All right. So I think I can't go against Ohio State, and I think it could be one of those games where the second stringers win by the second half. Or it could
in the
be
championship game?
I don't know about that. I think you pedal down for a championship game.
Or
especially if you're Ohio State right now and you are in danger of losing your spot.
Yeah. But Brady, back to what you were saying.
I'm already done.
You got Ohio State?
I'm taking Ohio State as well. Northwestern's defense is really great, but Indiana's was too. And I think Indiana had more offensive firepower than Northwestern has right now. And we saw how well Ohio State dealt with that. It was a close game, so I'm going to take Ohio State. And I'm thinking it's also going to be a close game, but not quite as close as Indiana was.
All right, Brandon? Brandon, you still there?
Oh, I am here. I'm
All right.
sorry. Where are we at?
Ohio
OSU
Big Ten
Northwestern.
championship.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's going to be an easy one here. I don't see how Ohio State loses this. You know, they're sitting here trying to prove to everyone that they're the team and they belong in the Big Ten, or not the Big Ten championship, but they belong in the playoffs. So I think you really see Ohio State shell out here tonight. Northwestern always puts up a good fight. I was there for the last time Ohio State played Northwestern in the Big Ten championship. Let me tell you, when that Lucas Oil Stadium is full, one, it is a beautiful stadium, but it is packed, fun, and loud. So
with the
it's
dome,
going to be sad to see no.
Love.
Yeah, it's going to be sad to see no fans there other than family and Zach, but it'll be a good one. But I got Ohio State easily.
All right, everyone's taking OSU. All right, next up we got A&M traveling to Tennessee. This is that makeup game I was talking about earlier. This is an easy win and possibly A&M's ticket into the college football playoffs if OSU or Clemson have anything happen today. A&M is outscoring Tennessee by 9 points on average, and Kellen Mond is on pace to have his best year, and he's currently 3 games behind what he's had in previous years. But I'm going to trust the Aggies to get this done. This seems like a really easy win right before you could possibly get in and have the committee be like, well, here's one additional win we had. But yeah, I'm going to take the Aggies getting this.
This is going to be an easy game for me. I think that Texas A&M is just going to outperform Tennessee. I've never really liked Tennessee, so I'm going to take Texas.
All right, Sacco.
As much as I want everyone ahead of Cincinnati to lose, I don't see Texas A&M dropping this, especially with so much on the line.
Yeah. Brandon?
Brandon?
Keep going on off mute.
Oh.
Off of mute. I'm here.
He's here.
Yeah, Texas A&M. I don't see how they lose this one. I mean, it's the primetime game here starting in 21 minutes, against a pretty bad Tennessee team. I think Texas A&M wins, and they're another team trying to show that they belong in the Final Four. So they're going to really try to show out, and maybe Tennessee's going to try to be that team that's, upsetting. You want to really end another team's season. Really, they could.
Yeah, that is a possibility.
All
right, next up we got the Big 12 championship, Oklahoma versus Iowa State. This getting played in AT&T Stadium, which is also it is interesting that they play in their NFL equivalents, getting to play in Lucas Oil where the Colts play, getting to play in A&M where the Cowboys play. But Oklahoma is thriving at stopping the run, just amazing at it, and that's going to be your key to beating Iowa State. Oklahoma can make this thing a shootout between Rattler and Purdy. I'd take Rattler 8 or 9 times out of 10. I think he is great. He is definitely a future Heisman contender. I also think Purdy could be as well. But right now I would take Rattler a majority of the times. This is going to be a very close game. Vegas has, I think, as a 8-point spread, I think, last time I saw.
Down to 5.5 right now.
Down to 5.5. But yeah, I do think it is going to be much closer than 5.5. But I think the Sooners win it. Plain and simple. I think they're just a little bit better. Lincoln Riley has already been asked many years in a row now, hey, will you come coach an NFL team? And he's like, no, I'm good. I'll pass. But yeah, I'm going to take the Sooners winning this. Brady?
Well, I'm going to switch it up on you. I'm going to take Iowa State. I don't trust Oklahoma. Ever since the last time I picked Oklahoma, they lost, so I don't trust them anymore. But I think it'll be a close game, and I think Iowa State will pull out in the end.
All right, fair enough.
I do love that this is the Dr. Pepper Big 12 championship.
Oh, yeah, they're the only sponsored one.
Yep, they're the only sponsored one. If I may go on another little A-side, committee's playing chess, not checkers with this one. They moved Iowa State ahead of Cincinnati, so even if they lose, Oklahoma is going to jump Cincinnati because they have a win against number 6 in a championship game.
Not
And if
wrong
they
at all.
win, they're just proved that they were right in putting Iowa State there. But I do think Oklahoma is going to pull this one. They've been on a tear since losing their first couple of games of the season, and it's just been a great story for them. And what a way to cap the season with a championship if they are able to turn that season around from people saying, "Oh, Lincoln Riley may not be that great of a coach," just coasting on his Heisman transfers. He's really turned the season around. I think that's great.
Yeah. Brandon?
Brady, stop eating donuts.
Dude, these donuts are so good.
All right.
Take some.
I'm pulling for Oklahoma here. If Oklahoma can win this, it really sets up Cincinnati well to be in that fight for the top, 4, 5, right in there. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma here. I think it'd be a nice upset of our Iowa State team.
All right.
Odd
Odd man out. All right. So next up, we
It's
got
a win.
Clemson at Notre Dame. Sadly, we can't talk about the Sun Belt Championship. It did get canceled last night due to issues at Coastal's campus with COVID.
Mhm.
But next up, we got Clemson.
I
at
have
Notre
heard
Dame.
that Coastal wants to schedule them in a bowl game, which I think is going to be
That'd be a
interesting to
very
see.
good bowl game. I
As these
think.
bowl games get canceled and teams pull out, maybe we'll just see teams schedule each other, Instead of a bowl game, we'll just see two teams say, "Hey, you want to play each other in this off week?" And say, "Yeah, that'll be the way to end the season."
That could be a possibility. But next up we got Clemson at Notre Dame. This has got to be a revenge game if you're Dabo Swinney and that strong Clemson team. Trevor Lawrence is back, and I think that's what turns the tables for this and has the Fighting Irish lose.
Mhm.
They barely were able to beat Clemson's backup. I know he is a backup of Clemson. That's still a great accomplishment, and he still is probably one of the top quarterbacks somewhere in the near future. But you barely could beat him. Do you think you have a better chance against a seasoned Trevor Lawrence? And I think the answer is no. Tigers are going to win this one. I think that it is going to be probably a touchdown, 7 to 10 point spread in this game. But go Tigers.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Clemson as well. If I was going off of what would make Ohio State better in the rankings, I would have taken Notre Dame, but I'm going off of getting a win here. So I'm gonna take Clemson. I think Trevor Lawrence being out against them last time really affected the outcome. So I think Trevor Lawrence will beat him this time.
All right.
I think I'm going to take Notre Dame here. They've done it once, and I think they can do it again. The addition of Trevor Lawrence is going to make it tougher, but I think Notre Dame, that was still fairly early in the season when they played. Notre Dame was still working a lot of things out. I think they've gotten better as the season's gone on. You see against teams like North Carolina where they have that monster second half to just put them away. And I think go ahead.
I said, is North Carolina ranked?
Yeah, UNC
Yeah,
is
they're still ranked.
17.
17. 3 lost, but they are 17. So I think they have put away very good teams. And like you said, I think DJ, I'm going to have to hear his last name pronounced a few more times before I try it.
I don't want to even try it.
Yeah, I think he's a 5-star in waiting. He's a Heisman contender in waiting. So you don't lose much going to him. He had a game against Boston College where it's not like it was his first game. He had a very good game against Notre Dame.
Yeah. And so you're taking Notre Dame?
Yep.
Brandon, who are you taking?
There's always it's the old adage of it's hard to beat a good team twice. And it's hard to beat a good team twice that just got better because their starting quarterback is back.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is really where Notre Dame can show that they're one of the best teams in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is really what's going to keep, this core group of guys together at Notre Dame and the coaching staff too, because they've always folded in the biggest of games. So I think you got to pull Notre Dame here. I think really their game plan is going to be a little bit different than it was last time.
Mm-hmm.
And, you got to prepare for Trevor Lawrence. I know it's hard to beat a good team twice, but I got Notre Dame.
All
Close.
right. All right, so we split 50-50 here. All right, next up we got Boise State versus San Jose State for the Mountain West Championship. This game's going to get down and dirty. It is going to be a knockdown, drag them out. Whoever can have that ball last is going to be the winner. Boise State is about a touchdown ahead of San Jose State on average, but I think San Jose State will be able to kind of pull out all the stops and get the win. They're allowing slightly less points, and I think they have the better quarterback running back duo, which is always how you're going to get big wins whenever you need them, is having a solid ground game and run game working together. I think that's how it's going to end. Again, it's going to be knockdown, just gritty football, great game to watch, but I'm going to take the San Jose State Spartans winning this one.
All right. Well, that one hurt. I was really hoping you picked nice, sweet blue turf, but
That's a neutral site.
yeah, I think it is at Boise State, so you'll be able to see that. But
That's a neutral
I
site.
think-
I didn't think
Is
it
it?
was neutral site.
I think it's at Boise State.
it
I
is at
thought I had
Boise
seen
You
it
give
was
me 2
not.
seconds, I can look it up.
Yeah,
I
I'm
looked
checking
at
right now as
yesterday
well.
and it said Boise State versus, so I assumed that.
Yeah,
it was.
versus means that nobody has a home field advantage. It's Sam Boyd at UNLV.
At UNLV.
All right, whatever. But blue turf,
Whatever.
it'll give him the curse to win.
All right, you're taking Boise State.
Yeah.
I'm
All right.
also going Boise State here. Boise State has looked very good despite their loss. I think San Jose State's been a surprise. They're top 25, and they've snuck in. This is a team that wasn't picked to win the conference because usually Boise State runs away with it.
Yeah.
But
That being said, Coastal Carolina was ranked to be last in their conference, and look at where they're at now. So sometimes analysts are wrong.
I mean, this very well could be 2 undefeated teams. Boise State's one loss was to BYU, who is very good.
Yeah.
So I'm going Boise State.
All right, and Brandon?
Donuts.
God, hey, Brady. Easy there, Killer.
I want something too, but I'm holding off.
All right, Brandon, who are you taking?
Okay. So just so you know, the game is playing at the Sam Boyd Field at UNLV.
Yes.
So that's where the game's being played. I don't know if we cleared that up.
Yeah, we did.
But now it's cleared up. I'm missing a lot right now, I know. I think you got to take San Jose State here. I think, I don't see this being the greatest of games. But I'm going to go San Jose State. Keep it simple here. Don't overthink it.
All right.
All right, go against me and Sock. Me and Sock will win.
We're
I think
really
Boise
getting
State has the
diverse
better
with this.
offense here, aside from a Wyoming game, which was ugly. I mean, they're scoring in their last 5, 40, 52, 51, and 49.
Yeah, and that is
That's
very
a
impressive
high-powered
numbers.
offense.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think that it's the little bit, like, just little things that might add up to a San Jose State victory. Like I said, it's going to be close and it's going to get dirty. Not violence, but I think it's going to be a game of inches on this one. Who
Like
can
both to a Ravens and Browns game.
essentially, yes.
But Lamar Jackson won't be coming in with belly
Poopy
cramps.
pants.
Yeah. He's
But,
not gonna pull
The
off.
Paul Pierce game.
Yeah. All right. So next up, we got Alabama versus Florida. This is going to be played in the Mercedes-Benz.
Superdome.
Well, we found out there are 2 Mercedes-Benz stadiums.
Oh, there?
One in New
Atlanta?
Orleans
Yeah,
and one in
the Atlanta Falcons and
Oh, yeah.
So this one's being played in the Atlanta one, but this game should be really good. Trask versus Jones at quarterback is definitely gonna be a glimpse of the winner of this game. Whoever has the better game probably is going to win the Heisman. I think Lawrence being out games and Wilson being on the decline in terms of rank. I think this is going to be whoever plays better today gets the Heisman. But I do think they're going to both put on a great show. But Bama wins it because they have Najee Harris and they have Nick Saban as their head coach. It's just that is going to be all they need to win a game. Yeah, Florida and Bama can hang toe-to-toe in the passing game, but I don't think Florida can hang with Bama in the run game. and that's how they're going to win it. I got Bama winning this. Go Crimson Tide. I'm not going to say Roll Tide because Brandon got pretty upset last time.
Mm.
I'm also gonna take Alabama. I think Najee Harris and that other Heisman contender wide receiver they have, whatever his name is, I think that they will
Devontae Johnson.
Yeah.
I think they'll go off this game, and I think that it'll be close, but I also think that them losing to LSU really disappoints me. So I think
Yeah, that's what happens whenever you throw shoes.
yeah.
This is a game last week. Oh, were you done, Brady?
Oh yeah, I was done.
Okay. Yeah. This was a game last week I was looking forward to. And when we were doing the picks, I got to the Florida pick, and I'm like, you know what? Next week, I think I'm going to pick Florida in an upset. And I still buy them in terms of talent. I still think they're as good as Alabama. This is a rivalry game. They can beat them. But then I saw them throw that shoe. And I think this is a team that lacks the discipline Alabama has. And for that reason, I think I'm going to take Alabama here. But they are equal in terms of talent to me. I think this is going to be a close one. I was locked in on that Florida pick last time.
Yeah, throw hands, not shoes.
Exactly.
All right, so I'm going to keep this simple here. Alabama wins it. They can't. I mean, Florida just can't compete with Alabama and Alabama's offensive scheme and Alabama's defense. I just don't see how this goes any other way but Alabama big. And then I got to jump off here, so I'm going to call this Tulsa versus Cincinnati.
All right.
Cincinnati. You got to see Cincinnati win this if they want a shot at being named into that top 6 group again. So Cincinnati's really got to show up and say, hey, we're here and we're here to stay. So Cincinnati.
All right. Well, thank you, Brandon.
Thanks, guys.
Can't wait to see you next week.
All right. See you next week, Brandon. We'll see if we're right.
Oh, absolutely. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
All right. So, like Brandon said, the Tulsa-Cincinnati game, that one actually is a home field advantage for the
Black turf?
American. Yeah, we'll see it on the black turf. Cincy is probably one of the most athletic teams in the FBS this year. And I think that bump down in the playoff rankings has got to be setting a fire under your ass. Win the game, win it big, prove a point. And I think that the Bearcats are covering whatever the spread is, winning this game big. I think that this game is solely existing for them to go and give a middle finger to the committee and say, give us our spot back. No questions about it.
Yep, I'm also going to take Cincy, like I said, with the blue turf, and the black turf's going to give them a curse, and they're going to magically win. No, I'm kidding. They'll come out mad and say they should have been ranked higher, and I think that they'll win the game.
All right.
I'm picking Cincinnati, but this is a team that will have a fire under them regardless. So the committee dropped Cincinnati and put 2-loss Georgia ahead of them, simply because Cincinnati did not play a game. Georgia did against now 24, or was 24 Missouri.
Mizzou.
Yeah. So if they do not switch, because this is exact flip, 1-1. Georgia is not playing a game. Cincinnati is against 23 Tulsa. If they don't flip, you will see that the bias in this, and they very much should flip. But this also is a Tulsa team that is great on defense. Not nearly as good as Cincinnati, but they have a solid defense there. They have a solid offense and ground game there. But I think everything Tulsa is good at, Cincinnati is just better at.
Yeah.
They had 18 players named to their conference awards list. And there were even some snubs. So you might see some of them overperforming.
All right.
So to not give the middle finger to their own conference for snubbing them and to their the committee for snubbing them.
All right.
But
so
this is damned.
That'll be today.
One last thing.
All right.
This is damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you blow them out, you lose your top 25 win. As we've seen, they blew out UCF. They ran it up in the final minutes, and UCF dropped. They blew out SMU. SMU dropped. They blew out Houston. or Army, and
Army
Army's
dropped,
now.
yeah.
Yep.
Who
So
won the
and
Army Navy?
yeah, so if you blow them
Army.
out, you lose your Army did. You lose your top 25 win. But if
If
you
you keep it
squeak
close,
by them
it's-
and somehow they stay in the top 25, then they're just pretenders
Yeah, then you
who
barely beat a
barely
top
beat a
25.
top
Yeah.
25 team.
All right. Yeah, so now we'll get on to the bowl games that are happening through this week. First off, we have the Myrtle Beach Bowl, which is Monday.
Believe
That
so.
did not. I was not said with much confidence, but I'm 99% sure it's the Monday one.
It goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it goes Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Monday game, App State
Appalachian State,
versus North Texas. This is one that App State's hung in there against Coastal and against Lafayette,
Mhm.
and I think that they're a very close third team in the Sun Belt. University of North Texas also has an issue where they have one go-to target. They go to Jalen Darden, and he has 19 touchdowns. The next guy up has 4 or 5. And App State does look to have a shutdown corner, a lot of passes deflected, 2 or 3 interceptions. With that matchup, you've shut down North Texas. This game is said and done. Mountaineers get this game big as the start of bowl game season. I'm taking App State.
Yeah. Is App State playing at that field, Andrew?
No, that because it's a bowl game, it is neutral site now, Brady.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yep.
I still think App State's gonna win. I think they look better, and I think they're a pretty good, decent team from whenever I've watched them on television.
All
All
right.
right. I'm also going App State. This is App State that's played in a conference with both Louisiana and Coastal. Those are the losses, and they're all very good teams. App State usually runs away with that conference. And now that they've had some competition, I think they're just as good. Their record just doesn't show it.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. All right, so next up we have the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Tulane versus Nevada. Also, Brady, the Myrtle Beach Bowl is played at Coastal Carolina.
I'm going.
But Potato Bowl, I believe, is that played where Boise State plays because they're the only city I know in.
I believe so.
Yes,
Wait,
that's at Albertson Stadium.
turf?
So yes, the Tulane versus Nevada game is on the blue turf, I believe. But
All the birds will be flying.
in 3 more games, Tulane has failed to put up more yards than Nevada. That's a big concern, I think. Wolfpack's slightly better on offense and defense in less games. So that is definitely something that is going to be a big factor. That somehow Tulane is putting up worse stats than you in more games. Not just on average and raw stats. Nevada is the better team in 3 less games. This is an easy pick for me. I'm taking the Wolfpack to get this done. No questions about it.
Yeah, almost taking Nevada. I think that they have a better record. Oh, they do have a better record, and they look better.
I'm, as much as I want the American Conference to win in all things, I'm taking the Wolfpack here. Nevada is a better team, and nothing is going to stop Willie Fritz from a 6-6 season. Hell or high water. 6-6 Willie Fritz. They're 6-5 now.
All right. Actually, the spread for the game for the Potato Bowl is 3 points towards Tulane.
Interesting.
Tulane
Tulane is a very good team. They are.
Yeah.
I think their record does not show it, but they are much better than their record indicates.
I think it's just a slight difference between the two. All right. Next up, we have roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl. That one is played in FAU Stadium.
What's that?
Florida Atlantic.
The
And
Owls.
we have UCF versus BYU. This game is going to come down to whoever has the ball in the last 2 minutes. Both teams are putting up 500 plus yards a game, which is an amazing amount. But we've seen before that when BYU has a quality opponent, they can't hang. And also I think that UCF, I hate talking about strength of schedule, but UCF is putting up these numbers against harder teams. And that is the big difference is they're putting up similar numbers, but UCF's actually having to compete in games and not just run up the score and kick the snot out of them for a half and then just coast by for the other half. I'm going to trust the Knights to get this one done. Go UCF.
I'm gonna go against you this time. I'm gonna take BYU. I still think that they're playing somewhat of a weak schedule. I think this will be a decently easy win for them.
I'm going UCF in this. This is a UCF high-powered offense. If you look at Dylan Gabriel's numbers, they are Heisman numbers. He's not in the race, but they are Heisman numbers. He leads the league in passing, or the nation in passing.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. And
this
that
is
was
a
my big
UCF
factor to it.
UCF's offense, aside from the Cincinnati game, they were on pace to set the all-time record. This is a team that puts up points, and I don't know if even with Zach Wilson, BYU can keep up.
Yeah. Next up, we have the New Orleans Bowl in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, and that'll be Louisiana Tech versus Georgia Southern. Offensively, I think these teams look very similar, just off of averages and points scored, points allowed, or points scored, yards gained. But the difference maker is Georgia Southern's defense that is allowing less yards, less points, getting 8 more turnovers compared to Louisiana Tech. And that's a big difference. Is 22 turnovers in your season in 12 games is pretty impressive. That's roughly 2 a game, slightly under, versus Louisiana Tech in their 9 games having 14 turnovers, just over 1 a game, or around 1.5 a game. That's the big difference maker. And you are also dealing with, I don't know, it's just the little things that are going to make the big difference. Georgia Southern also is dealing with a great dual threat quarterback in Shai Wertz. He is leading the team in passing yards and in rushing yards. I think that is how you get it done. We're going to see the Eagles win this in the Superdome next Wednesday.
All right, I'm gonna take Georgia Southern. I think it'll be a close game, but I think they just look better.
All right.
I'm taking Georgia Southern. This is a team that plays good teams close. And if you look at their losses, you have a 2-point loss to Louisiana, who's 19 right now. You have a 14-point loss to undefeated Coastal right now, who's top 11. You have a 1-point loss to Army, 6-point loss to Georgia State, and an 8-point loss to Appalachian State. So this is a team that hangs in there and very much is better than their record shows. They have survived close losses.
All right. And
Memphis.
so the next game up is the Montgomery Bowl.
Montgomery Bowl.
Memphis versus Florida Atlantic. This is going to be played in the Crampton Bowl. I don't know where that is.
Cranberry? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not even sure who plays
Montgomery,
there.
Alabama.
That's more my question.
I don't think anyone plays there. I think that's just
yeah, right now nobody plays there. It's just a place for bowl games. But this is one. It's such a big difference in quarterbacks. Memphis QB Brady White throwing 60%, 28 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, almost 3,100 yards. Amazing stats, very similar to what we were seeing from UCF. On the other hand, FAU's quarterback, Noah Tronti, is throwing 54%, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 760 yards in 8 games. And it's not like he's being supported by a great run game either. This is one that I think pure talent of the offense versus the defense, I think that it's going to be Memphis. It's tough to bet against them. Yes, they do have the slightly worse defense, but in these matchups of who has the better offense versus the defense, I think it's Memphis 10 times out of 10. Going to take the Tigers winning this.
I'm also going to take Memphis. Last time I checked, I think they had a 64% chance. Is that still correct?
It is 65 now for Memphis.
Okay, yeah. Well, when I checked, it was 64. So I think that
it moved 1%. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that could change.
All right.
I still believe they'll win.
Memphis, I'm taking in a big one. Their offense is UCF light. Between UCF and Memphis, they are the ones in the American that put up the points. And I don't think FAU will keep up either.
All right. Memphis Cross Board. All right, and our last bowling game that we know of as of filming this is the New Mexico Bowl. We have the University of Hawaii Rainbow Warriors up against the University of Houston Cougars. This one's getting played in Toyota Stadium in Frisco, Texas. Not sure where that one's at. I'm gonna check real quick.
I was gonna say no, not Dallas.
Is that Texas State?
Soccer Specific Stadium in Frisco, Texas. It's where FC Dallas plays.
FC Dallas. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, that is definitely one I don't think we've seen before with a soccer stadium being used for a football game. But in this game, I love the team name, the Rainbow Warriors. It is just one that's unique. I think it would only fit if Hawaii had the name. I think Houston is just the better team in this game. More yards on average, less yards allowed on average, and more points scored on average. I think Houston's had the harder schedule and they are more battle tested. Only a game separates them, with Houston being 3-4 and Hawaii being 4-4. It's just Houston's played harder games. They have been through the meat grinder, where I think Hawaii hasn't as much. But it's just that little bit, like, you know how to handle these harder defensive ends if you're on the offensive line. You know how to handle harder corners if you're a wide receiver. You know how to work better as a linebacker and reading coverages and what the play is going to be. I'm going to take Houston winning this one and go Cougars.
I'm also going to take Houston. I think they may not have the better record, but they also look better in the stats. So I'm going to go off stats, and I think that they're going to win.
All right.
As much as I hate Houston for falling off and for Dana Holgerson for just fucking up that program. I mean, De'Ara King is putting on a show down in Miami, and you couldn't keep him around because you went with Clayton Tune, who 13 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I do think they're the better team, and Dana may be fighting for a job here. Because, I mean, it was just 5 years ago, undefeated Houston was 5th in the nation.
Yeah, I remember that. And then the Power 5 bias kicked in. They lost the spot.
Yep, and they've been downhill ever since.
All right. Well, that's all I think we have for the show this week. Thank you, everyone who joins in and watches us all the way through. Give us a like, a comment on who you think might win some of these games, any upsets you think might happen. Share it so we can increase the size of the audience, show it to friends, anything like that. It helps us out. It lets us know we're doing a good job every week. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys for joining us and have a great day.